guys, we are back again. My name is Zoe, this is
Beverley,
and this is
Uvie.
And some of you are probably thinking, what's the need for all of this name calling? But some of you people, you don't know who he is right now. You be calling us live from Layfield.
Live from Mayfield.
Live from Mayfield.
Live from Mayfield.
You're calling us the wrong name. And so I said it's our duty to let you guys know what our name is, and we are Zoe, Bev and Uvie, and we are live from Layfield.
LFL baby.
As you guys know, this month is a Black History Month, and so we have come real fast to tell you guys about the real truth.
Sorry, but me and Uvie, yeah, but it was like, yeah, they're like idiots, like.
We've come real fast to let you guys know about our real Black history. That is right, we are doing some myth busting,
Yes,
myth destroying,
busting,
or as
yes.
Beverley said, we are doing some myth annihilation.
Yes.
We want you guys to know the truth of who you are, and so you can walk in your greatness.
Come on.
Let's get to it.
We are busting the myths that are associated with Black history. In school, we're always taught to believe that our history begins with slavery. No, they teach us that we were slaves, not enslaved. No, they teach us that we were slaves, not enslaved. And we are here to bust the myths. We have an abundance of Black history that goes beyond slavery. Like, we were king, you know, it's so cliche to hear that we were kings and queens, but we were more than that. We are like the pioneers of whatever it means for there to be a civilization. And we really believe that just our identities are not only like linked to our own like personal history, but linked to your racial history as well. And knowledge is power in all aspects. So what we're here to do, guys, is to give you the knowledge that we were blessed to find out ourselves, and we pray that your spirit will be uplifted and you shall rise and empower those around you.
Amen, amen, amen. One myth is that the ancient Egyptians were white. Now,
Who said that? Who said that?
Who said that?
Who said that?
Everybody.
First of all, Uvie, take it away, girl.
First of all, where's the equator? Okay, what's the temperature?
okay, listen. What I must say is that the whole whether the Egyptians were white or black is still being debated today. But why is it being debated? Many early 20th century scholars have refuted to believe that the Egyptians could be black simply because of how great the Egyptian civilization was.
What a mighty insult! Mighty! That one I felt it here.
So, I'm going to give you just 3 facts, and you can obviously decide whether you want to believe that the Egyptians were black or white. You can do your own research, that's up to you. But here is one fact. The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, they used to call themselves Kemtu. Now, Kemtu is rooted in the word kem or cam. Kem or cam means to be coal coated. So if something is coated in coal, what color is that?
Blue.
No, we'll wait.
Okay, moving on. A lot of these facts about the Egyptians were researched by a man, I completely forgot his name, but he was a Senegalese man, forgive me. Senegalese. And one thing he noted in his works was that there were numerous Greek historians, for example Herodotus, who had noted in their works the colour of the Egyptians.
Say what?
At the same time that ancient Egypt was thriving.
Yeah.
Okay. Herodotus noted that as he was, because he was sailing away from Egypt, yes, and he said that as he looked back onto the shore, of Egypt, that the color of the people's skin was black.
Can you imagine?
And their hair was kinky.
Can you just imagine all of that thing? Like this.
And another gentleman by the name Apollodoterus. Guys, I don't know Greek. Excuse the pronunciation. Apollodoterus. He noted that the people in Egypt, he called them the dark-footed ones. In fact, he called them the black-footed ones. Now, before we get into the third fact, third bit of evidence to support the statement, I want you to take a look at these pictures of statues of the pharaohs, you know, the kings, the queens of Egypt. Is there anything you notice? something happened to one of their facial features. Seems to have been axed and knocked away. Now, as soon as I saw these pictures, I knew that something was off, but at the time, I didn't understand what was going on. And what I learnt in my research is that under the guise of refurbishment, under the guise of maintenance, the government have been destroying the nose of the pharaohs, of the statues, because if there's one thing we know, when you want to depict a black person, yes, as a statue or anything, as a picture, there are some certain features that you're going to try and enhance, okay? What are they? Those are the lips. It's the nose. It's even the jaw shape, okay? Now, why is the nose gone?
Why is the
nose gone?
Little archaeologist, you tell us that, huh?
Tell us that. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Do what you want with those facts.
Bloop.
Now, ancient Egypt was great.
Yes,
it definitely was great. And now that we know that there's a high likelihood that these people were not white people, I want to tell you about the greatness of ancient Egypt, just so you know. Just something to be proud of. The largest pyramid, which is referred to as the Great Pyramid, was built under the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. And that pyramid is 150 feet tall. It's about 750 feet in length.
Tell us more.
Its angle is at 51 degrees.
Whoa!
And do you know the room of error? The error around that whole pyramid, 2 inches. Nothing is more out of place than 2 inches around a building that is 150 feet tall.
Yeah.
800 feet long. 51-degree angle. Built 2,550 years before Christ.
Wow.
Do you know what it requires to build something like that? It requires mathematics, supersonic mathematics. To achieve this, we know that the Egyptians had to have a government, quite a, I want to say, resourceful, intelligent government in place. They still cannot explain how the Egyptians were able to get the blocks up to that height.
On that angle.
In those times.
Without cranes. The reason why we're honing into this so much is during slavery, I don't know what the word is, transatlantic
slavery.
They tried to justify slavery by saying that the Africans were unintelligent, we weren't even human beings. Sorry. Okay. That we weren't human beings, that we were actually animals, so it justified the reasons why they could treat us so disgustingly. We're honing in on the fact that not only were we intelligent, we were resourceful, we were a flourishing kingdom, especially when Europe at the time was going through its dark age. Let's not even get into that now.
let's not touch that bit.
But as fantastic and amazing as ancient Egypt was, one of the other myths is that ancient Egypt was the only fantastic civilization in Africa, which is a dim lie. Okay. There was many fantastic, thriving, amazing, beautiful civilizations in Africa. Egypt was just one of many. So for example, the Mali Empire is one of the most, renowned civilizations in regards to ancient African history. One of the most, in fact, the richest man ever known in history to ever walk this earth came from the kingdom or the Mali Empire, and his name was Mansa Musa. So Mansa Musa was, I think he was like the second reigning king of what was known as the Mali Empire, and they literally were just so rich, became a center of education. People from all over the world used to come over to Mali to learn. They had loads of libraries, they had loads of universities, and at the time Europe had none. So basically in Africa, the river Niger, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Niger.
The river Niger was where people would go along that river, and that's where trade will occur through. Timbuktu, which Mansa Musa made the capital of the Mali Empire, was alongside the river Niger. So trade and commerce was a major part of the city's glory. So Mansa Musa was a Muslim man, and he went on the Hajj. I think he went towards Egypt, and when he was going to Egypt, he built mosques along the way. That's how much peas my man had. My man was crazy. He was that if I can imagine Mansa Musa, that picture of Tupac, yeah, where he's in the gold. I can imagine man like Musa Musa doing that now. The guy was peasy. It was estimated that he gave 100 million, is it dollars or pounds? Whatever it is,
Whatever the
money. Whether it's dollars or pounds, it's millions. It's millions over to poor people on the Hajj. And because of the way he was giving away money, it is said that it's unstabilized the economy.
Shocking.
For 10 years.
Why? What? People like the recession. What man?
My man induced the recession by
Jesus.
giving away $100 million or whatever the equivalent would be, $100 million or pounds, just the Hajj. Mansa Musa in today's currency is said to be worth 400 billion.
Can you imagine?
Are you dumb? Are you dumb?
Bill Gates, have you reached that one? Bill! Are you hearing this?
Where are you?
What? Oh!
Rockefeller, where
Jesus.
are you? P. Dundee.
You ain't doing it. I can't lie.
Where
I
are
can't die.
you? 400 billion. You know you have to get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to make 1 million. Do you know how many millions you need to make 1 billion? Let alone 400 billion. I'ma leave that there.
There were also many other great civilizations. You had the Benin Kingdom, the Ghana Kingdom at the time.
Yeah.
There was something called the Knot Kingdom.
The Zimbabwe Kingdom.
Come on.
The Congo Kingdom.
Come on.
The whole of Africa. There was little things popping up.
Popping.
All over Africa, baby. Okay, so another myth we're trying to bust today is that kind of idea that when black people were taken as slaves, they didn't fight. Now, for me, this was the most ludicrous of all myths. Like, think of it, like, if even, like, you know, you're on the bus, someone pushes an African auntie or even a Caribbean auntie, you know the whole bus is gonna find out. And you think that you can even come and then pinch me from my civilization and then throw me to a boat and
Take
I'm not
my
gonna,
children,
I'm
my
gonna,
husband, my wife.
I'm gonna scrap you. It's gonna be on and popping. You can't come and write history about how we were great warriors, great hunters, and you think that me, a great warrior, I'm gonna enter that boat in peace. I'm going to break that thing up. A lot of boats didn't even actually make it back to the country of origin. They ruined the boats, they set the boats on fire, they killed the staff that were manning the boats. They had hell bringing those people to their countries or to the Caribbean. It was quite difficult for them. It wasn't as easy as what they made it seem like. It really wasn't that easy. There was a lot of successful rebellions across the Caribbean and across America that a lot of historians or in school lessons about history you never hear about, and so you're thinking, like Beverley was saying before, so we just in our minds remained enslaved and we don't ever feel like we can fight for freedom or we can fight from the point that they've tried to put us in. But people successfully broke free. Let's start with Haiti. Haiti, they led a great rebellion. They chased out the French, out the Portuguese. The people didn't even return, they left Haiti to their business. Then in Jamaica there was another great revolt where the original African slaves escaped after the rebellion, fled to the mountains, and then for another 100 years they were fighting off the Europeans and mainly the British that were still trying to get at them, but they were free people. But the one I want to focus on the most today was led by a man called Busa. And Busa was an African slave that was taken to Barbados, and this all went down in 1816. Basically, the British were the ones that were kind of governing Barbados at that time. And so what they wanted to do was pass a law to improve the conditions improve the working conditions for the Bajan slaves at that time. However, what they called the planters, which were the plantation owners, they weren't having a bubble. What do you mean improve their conditions so they can overthrow me? They weren't having it. They weren't having it. So after the bill had been rejected, Busa went, man, he thought, are you lot ridiculous? I'm working here, going mad for you people, working the hardest I can, and you're rejecting just a simple thing to improve our living conditions. He said, I'm not having it. So he organised and orchestrated a rebellion against the people. He organised for 400 people to they launched an attack on what was the plantation owners and the West Indian West Indian battalion at that time. Unfortunately, they were using black people in their army at the time, but Busa didn't give a toss. He wanted freedom, and he wanted freedom for him and the other slaves then. Unfortunately, he was killed in battle. It wasn't the most successful rebellion, but it was very significant because they said that the rebellion caused by Busa led to like a major political shift in Barbados, and so it led to further changes in Barbados later on, and the Bajan people recognize him as like a significant figure, and they put like a statue of Musa in their country.
Another myth that surrounds our black history would be that Christopher Columbus, you little low down, dirty murderer. He was the person who first landed and discovered the Americas. At the time is what they knew it as, the Americas. What was that? A lie. Actually, in his, I think it was his son's memoirs, or his son wrote some kind of book, or there was a written document that basically described when Christopher Columbus actually reached the Americas and was talking to the Native Americans. He saw artifacts, or he saw like items that were indicative of an African presence in America before he had got there. So there was statues of heads, I don't know what these things are called, that have like Negro like features. They have African, the broad nose, the big lips, the same kind of heads that you would see in places in Africa is what you were seeing in the Americas before Columbus came. In the account that Christopher Columbus's son wrote, it says that Christopher was speaking to the Native Americans, and asking them where did they get their spears from, and they then said that we got it from the black people, we got it from the Africans who were here. The reason why this is just even a really important myth is because like the Americans, the white supremacists or whatever, they really hold Christopher Columbus in high esteem. He's the person who found their land. He's just amazing because he was the first person to even find the Americas, and he is the reason why America is where America is now. And obviously that kind of intelligence, to be able to like go from Europe in the Atlantic Sea or whatever, would have required a high amount of skill, when realistically Africans were doing it way before Christopher Columbus were doing it. We had the skill way before Christopher Columbus was doing it. And actually the stones, these heads, went to verify these stones, like with whatever methods they used, showed that those stones were there like thousands of years before Christopher Columbus came. So that just goes to show the kind of skill and the kind of intellect and knowledge, wealth of knowledge should I say, of our surroundings, of the world that we had in Africa. So some of these myths aren't things that people just outright say, they're just things that you kind of internalize based on the lack of knowledge. So for example, that Africans didn't rebel, that we just sat there and like just had slavery handed to us on a golden plate. It's not something that people go out and say, but it's something that you internalize because you don't hear that there was rebellions. Another one of those kind of internalized myths surrounding our black history was that we didn't make any contributions to modern society.
Obviously, because based on the history that we are taught, particularly in school, is about the slave trade and about civil rights. Aside from those two moments in time, we don't know what black people have done. Therefore, it makes you think, did we do anything? That's the underlying result of that. What do all of these things have in common? CCTV, letterbox, modern day blood preservation.
What does all these things have in common?
Girl, you don't.
How could you do that?
Because I said CCTV, letterbox, bitch. What do they have in common? You tell me, because I don't know.
What do these things have in common? Gaming consoles, letterboxes, 3 signaling traffic lights, traffic lights.
How?
God.
Traffic, Jesu!
I wasn't even trying to correct it, I was just repeating the same thing. What do all these things have in common? CCTV, letterboxes. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh.
Jesus, take the weight off! You said letterboxes. What's you frightening? What the hell is that? Letterboxes.
What do these things all have in common? AC, CCTV, letterboxes, game consoles, 3 signal traffic lights, modern day blood preservation. God, we are tired out and worked hard, okay guys? We have jobs, we have lots of responsibilities, forgive me. But what did they all have in common? They were invented by a black person.
Did y'all hear that? Run through the list again for the people who didn't hear at the back.
And I'm talking about in the past 100 years. I'm not talking before
It's
100
not,
years.
yeah,
I'm not talking about before 100 years. Are you hearing me? AC. Yeah,
AC. When you're feeling hot.
And you know what? It makes sense. We live in tropical environments. I don't want to be sweating.
We're tired of all of that sweating stuff.
CCTV.
I'm watching you. Your mama always said, I'm watching you.
No, we don't want
Black
y'all
person.
Europeans back colonizing, so we got to ass on
These
you.
are actually black British, black American inventors, so you don't need to calm down. The remote control.
Because we like to watch a good film.
A gaming console.
We love a good console.
And letterbox.
Girl, that ain't even the beginning of that.
So did you even know that one of the most renowned classical musicians that, you know, everybody seems to hold in high esteem has actually got African roots? His mother was actually a Moor. Who is it we're talking about? Beethoven. But guys, deep how of a OG he is when it comes to classical music. You know, in music class you just press that button and it plays. And also, you know, London, what is one of the most biggest tourist attractions? You guessed it, the Big Ben. And guess who the Big Ben is named after? Benjamin Banneker.
Some of your edges being snatched right now by this news.
And who was Benjamin Banneker? A black man. He was an absolute mathematical brilliance. He was outstanding. He pretty much, from my understanding, invented what we know to be the clock around the age of in his early 20s. You know, he was basically an astrologist. He taught himself astrology. He taught himself mathematics because he was born to his mother was a free slave, so he was able to go to school and learn these things. And he just helped. I think his he helped design the city of like Washington, and the Big Ben. The structure of the Big Ben, or the design of the Big Ben, was based on Benjamin Banneker's design, so he is named after him.
Big busy
people. But do you know something I found out that I thought, yo, or are you kidding me? Do you know there was once somebody called Queen Charlotte?
Yes.
Do you know she was married to King George III? Do you know that she's black?
Did you?
in this country?
In this United Kingdom.
She knows. I said what? Queen Charlotte.
Charlotte. There is a Queen Charlotte. She is a black woman. She was married to a British king.
Which means
therefore,
the royal family.
Yeah, do like this, Sean. 1 + 1 = what? 2. Listen, well, obviously, as you can imagine, there's a little speak about Queen Charlotte. What we do have of Queen Charlotte is some paintings of her, and it is said that when the painters were asked to do the portraits and things of that nature, they were told to reduce and minimize her features, which is kind of what you would expect from, based on everything we have told you in this video.
When you can change the color of Jesus.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. Someone just like, whoa.
Just something else that people like really hold resentment about is like the Christian like influence in regards to like, you know, the whole slavery and everything. One thing that you guys didn't know is that some of the oldest churches in the actual world are in Africa. The oldest church that I think that is still, I don't know if it's still standing, but it's actually located in Ethiopia.
So we have given you guys some facts to crush those myths that have been tricking you into thinking that you're not greater than you are. But even in modern society, we have seen like the growth and the kind of uprising of great influencers that are doing a lot for Black history currently. One of the major influences this year that has made Black history for me and quite a lot of other people is Edward Enninful. Edward Enninful was made the editor of Vogue magazine. Vogue magazine has been around for, I'm going to say centuries, what a stretch, for decades. And as you know, we rarely see ourselves represented in the media. And so to see a Black man as an editor of a massive magazine that contributes kind of setting the tone of beauty standards across the world just makes me happy, knowing that I feel now that we're going to be represented, and I'm sure a lot of people have felt the same way. And just to finish up here, guys, I'm not even trying to big ourselves up, but we make Black History every day. We don't need a month. Like, to be sitting here and our parents are all immigrants. We are first generation
Black British.
Black
African
British people. To be sitting on here, making videos for you guys, to be training to be almost qualified pharmacists, to be able to influence people, we are making history. And I feel like we should big ourselves up for it. Even people like Mimi, our girl Mimi Misfit, baby.
We love you, man.
Mimi, our girl Mimi.
History is the study of the past.
Jesus.
Mimi Misfit, you're making history.
Even Team Swaduel,
Team
just
Swaduel.
the unit of the black family.
Making the
Keeping that together.
making history. Everyone making history. All of us black social influencers, we are making history because hundreds of years ago, even take it back, not even that far, 100 years ago, they would never even think that we'll even be allowed to be in a position where we're allowed to speak freely on camera whenever we want to. And there's so many black influencers that are doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't agree with all of their ways. KSI, you crazy boy, I can't lie. But he's the biggest YouTuber in the United Kingdom. A black boy. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Patricia Bright doing crazy things.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, fashion go. Yeah.
Sorry, it's
You guys should hear the volume in this room.
When you actually look back at it, like where you try to enslave us, and now we're actually we're a powerful force. We are powerful people, and we are going to be doing big things. We are making big moves, and we are going to continue to make black history continuously. And you watching, you are also making black history every day. Like I said, y'all don't need a month. So don't let anyone lie to you and keep you in a position or make you think that you can't achieve certain things. We were great people. Beverley was trying to get into it with the Moors and I'm like, Kirk, but it's the truth, man. We were great mathematicians. We've always been intelligent. We've always had a great kind of control on life.
Aristotle learnt from us. The great Greek philosopher Aristotle was learning from us. The point is, know the greatness that lies within you. Know where you come from. They have lied to us. They have deliberately hidden our history, knowing that should we unlock like this knowledge, that there will be, for some people, there will be a fire in you that will light up, that will let you know that you come from a lineage that is great. You come from a lineage that is intelligent. You come from a lineage that literally builds people's nations off the ground to where it is now. So we have to take into account that we literally build ourselves up from nothing all the time. So no matter where you are, you can build yourself up from nothing. And we hope that this video has enlightened you, has empowered you to make steps so that you can make your own black history. Boop! Skia! And I put it in pin.